Well, that was a movie.
Hello, welcome back to SimonsRants. I'm Simon, this is Justin, and today we're giving our first thoughts on Speak No Evil, the American one, the remake. It's starring James McAvoy. It was written and directed, or adapted, I should say, by James Watkins. Like I said, it's a remake. It's a remake of a 2-year prior European film that was a bit of a cult classic.
Wait,
this one
2 years prior?
Yeah, 2022.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay. I thought we were talking.
Quick turnaround.
I really thought we were talking some old film.
No,
here.
no,
I never even questioned that.
Simply just because it was made without famous American people, and so Americans went, we need to make it.
Yeah, of course, but wow,
Yeah,
2 years.
Yeah.
That's...
When that happens, they always cheapen it and make it worse. So I will say, watching this, and even just frankly seeing the trailer, made me go, I bet this was probably a good film the first time around.
I'm infinitely more curious now that I know the first film's only 2 years old.
Yeah. So, yeah, interesting premise. I knew nothing about this movie beforehand. I've never seen any of the trailers.
Of course, no.
And I know none of you have seen the trailer either.
Was it even playing anywhere?
You know what? Happy never have to see that trailer again day to you, because if you're unaware and you don't go to the movies as often as we do, I have no exaggeration seen that trailer at least 50 times, at least, because I've seen it before every single movie that I have gone to see since they started playing the trailer, which was I don't know, a year ago or something. So yeah, if you somehow haven't seen the trailer yet, it follows a group of an American family who has moved to the UK for work opportunities. They are now on vacation from the UK into Italy, where they meet a family with James McAvoy and his wife and kid or whatever, who invites them to come stay with them in the, what did they say, like the West Country or something?
Yeah,
something like that.
So.
Out in the country, you know, living off the land. And so they go to stay with them, and immediately they realize things are a little bit wrong. The kid seems particularly off and keeps talking about scissors and doesn't know how to dance. And yeah, creepy things. Oh no, what's gonna happen? It's pretty obvious what's gonna happen. So I went into this movie thinking this was gonna be like a so bad it's good movie. And then the movie started, and it was actually kind of okay for a while. And then as it went, it descended into the so bad it's good territory. It took a long time to get there, though. It really did. It took a while. It was like half the movie before it started to get there. But it did get there. So I do recommend A Tuesday Crowd, the rowdier, louder bunch.
I was thoroughly entertained with our Tuesday Crowd, besides that one child.
Yeah, somebody decided to bring a little kid who wasn't interested in the movie, and so was showing them some TV show on their phone.
Yeah, I've never seen, like, I've had kids in theater.
Low.
That's the craziest thing.
Man.
How could I, as the parent, even sit there with that? Playing the audio of the phone out
ridiculous.
loud enough that the rest of the theater definitely hears it to some capacity, just because you don't have headphones for the kids.
Too. Somebody took a phone call.
See, that I'm more used to.
Well, you shouldn't be.
No, I shouldn't be. But that I'm more used to. But like the kid just listening to the video, that was a new experience. And as the parents, not even for the other people's sake, just for my own, what the hell am I seeing the movie for if I can't hear it over my kids' little audio? It's just time to go.
Bluey or whatever the hell we're watching. Yeah. No, this is why I don't go to the movies on Tuesdays, but
I will say, other than that, the crowd was great. The one-liners were flowing, the reactions were coming. It was entirely black, and it's a white cast, so every single time they're doing something wrong, everyone's critiquing. No. You just gotta leave. Just ditch them. Get out of there. Go. Don't do that. You idiots. Come on.
Or cheering them on when they do something fun.
Oh, yeah.
That happened a couple times.
Finally, get them.
Yeah. And this movie, too, it definitely played into the humor of it. Like, there's a point in this movie where everything starts getting very serious, and I hope this isn't a spoiler to say they're defending themselves against people trying to kill them. Shocker, I know. And so it's like, at one point, for instance, the mom, like, grabs, like, like a big dinner fork to defend herself, sticks it in her pocket, and then later she like bends down and stabs herself with it, and she's like, ah! And then there's so many little reactions throughout, like ooh and huh to stuff happening. It's like they were playing up to this kind of crowd. They knew that that's who was gonna watch it, and it's like that's amusing, and I definitely had fun. But the premise is a good one on paper. That I'm like, this could have been a good serious movie, which is why I'm interested in the original now. Because I feel like, you know, and even in this one, I don't know if you heard anything about it, but James McAvoy talked about it in interviews that he based his character's performance off of Andrew Tate in a lot of ways. And you can see that. I was like, it's an interesting commentary with like the toxic masculinity of it all. And it's like, obviously how it was handled in this movie was very sloppy and silly. And so it makes me wonder once again, what could that commentary be like in the hands of somebody who's a little bit better at filmmaking, maybe?
Yeah, it's interesting because I can see somewhat the comparison.
Sure.
If you had given me 5 guesses, I don't think I would have guessed Andrew Tate.
Well, yeah,
it's just so silly.
It is.
Even though I do see the philosophical comparisons between the characters.
Yeah.
It's just such a more outlandish take that I probably
more outlandish than Andrew Tate. I feel like James McAvoy was much more grounded and likable than Andrew Tate.
Maybe I don't spend enough time watching Andrew Tate content.
That's not a bad thing.
The little bit I've seen, he's wild, but not like this.
I will also say James McAvoy is 90% of why this movie was entertaining to me.
James McAvoy, up until like maybe let's say 2/3 of this film, because there's a certain point where they made him drop all his wonderful acting, but he was incredible. I loved everything he was doing, every second. He was great.
And that's what he really nailed, was when he was asked to be a really good actor, he was.
Yeah.
And when he was asked to be silly and stupid, he was so silly and so stupid.
Oh, it was great.
And so he nailed both sides of the performance, and so the whole time you're just like, yeah, get it, James. Like, he's awesome. And I will say, overall, the cast as a whole, I thought was very good. I mean, the kids are kid actors. There's some stuff where you're like, okay, there's a couple of lines that they have to deliver to. Well, she has to deliver. He doesn't have to deliver any lines. But there's some lines that she had to deliver that you're like, okay, they weren't doing her any favors writing that line for her. But I'm
solidly impressed enough with the kid with this.
Yeah.
Having to act like he's the whole time. So yeah.
Yeah, frankly, I thought he was better than she was. I thought he did fine.
Yeah.
But of the adults, like, you know, the 4 main adults, I thought all of them were really good. And there was even a couple of times where I thought, oh no, we're going off the rails here with some really stupid dialogue. And then they would kind of reel me back in by making the dialogue tolerable, and I was like, it's just good acting then, because there was like a fight that seemingly came out of nowhere, and then they redeemed the fight and made it make sense between like the 2 good guy parents, and I was just like, oh, you know what, all right, fine, I'll give them credit, they made that scene actually make sense. So yeah, it's not a good movie, but it's an entertaining one.
Honestly, I was expecting one of the worst films of the year.
I was expecting a lot worse.
Completely.
Yeah.
I've probably enjoyed this film more than we've seen a lot of this film. Now, I'm not saying
for the right
it's
reasons.
that incredible, but it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
And that crowd did play a part. Seeing it without them, I maybe that knocks it down a little bit. But
when you're able to talk at full outdoor levels,
it was great.
In a theater, you know you're gonna have a good time.
like James McAvoy was perfection.
Yes.
Everyone else was pretty good. The story was serviceable enough.
Sure.
And then it went off the rails, and it honestly didn't devolve into absolute dog shit. It was pretty solid.
Yeah, I'm gonna open the door because it's fucking hot. But I would say it, an honest rating, it's not like a great movie or anything, but it like you said, it never fully jumped the shark, but was able to be self-aware enough that it was silly and fun without being incredibly stupid. Was there stupid decisions? Plenty.
Sure.
Was the plot muddled and way too long? Yes, but I would still give it like a solid 6 at the end of the day. Like you said, I went into this ready to give it a 3, 4, best 5, you know, and then I was like, maybe it's a 6.
The trailers I mean, outside of giving away everything, just made it seem so generic and bad. And it was honestly very enjoyable. I'm willing to give it a 6.5, 7. And honestly, that's mostly just on enjoyment factor.
Yeah.
Like, I could see myself watching this again. And I don't know how many movies that we've seen this year I'm truly gonna watch again. I could do it with this one. I really could.
Yeah.
I don't know if I will, but I could.
I probably won't, but no, I see where you're coming from, where it was just like, it was a fun time. But what affects me the most is what you're talking about. Like, the story isn't generic. It is an interesting idea, which is why I'm so attracted to the idea of the original, because like, I really feel like they did cheapen the original. I'm assuming. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But it really felt like they just bare bones kind of lifted ideas.
It would make sense.
Yeah. But I will, if I do watch the original, I'm sure I'm going to miss James McAvoy. I really am. But I think if the overall movie is higher quality, I will be okay with that. But yeah, I mean, it was just fun. It was, and it was stupid, and I guess it's just fucking spoilers, spoiler warning, if you care. But like, the plot, like, they shouldn't have left or tried to leave multiple times, because it just made everything so convoluted. It's like, because like the level of trust versus fear they had towards James McAvoy was so inconsistent. It was like, it felt like the scenes were out of order almost, where it's just like, there should have been a slow descent into, like, do we trust him, to, oh, God, this guy's insane. But it was just like, oh, we're having fun. This guy's insane. Oh, everything's fine. He's insane. Well, do we trust him? He's insane. It's like, this should have been gradual. It just felt like they just put the scenes on shuffle, and that was frustrating. Because, it made the first half hard to get invested in, when it's like, we're gonna leave. Oh, we can't leave because there's a bunny rabbit. And I'm like, fuck you, fuck that kid, kill the kid.
That bunny rabbit has been the most important bunny rabbit the whole time. When he was walking around searching for that bunny, I thought it was a live rabbit.
What? Why?
Because he's searching so far around. I thought the thing was supposed to have ran away or some shit.
But you knew it was a stuffed animal from like the first scene.
Was it shown in the first scene?
It was shown very early on.
Because I don't remember seeing it until they pulled up on the moped and handed it to her.
That was before then.
Okay, then I missed it when it first got shown.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the first time you saw them, she had a stuffed rabbit.
I remember hearing about the bunny, but I thought it was real until they pulled up.
I don't know why he was walking along the Great Wall of China looking for it.
It was going so far for a stuffed rabbit.
All I could assume was that he was just retracing the steps of everywhere they went that day. He
had to have been, but like, you didn't see any of that, so it just felt like such a crazy distance. I thought, oh, it's a live rabbit. I didn't see it at first, so I thought it was a live rabbit. Oh, he's just guessing where it could have ran to.
It would have made a lot more sense, the obsession this girl had with it too. It's like, we've all been kids, we've all had stuffed animals at some point in our life, but it's like, get over it, dude. Like, they are running away because they find the girl sleeping in the bed with the parents of the strangers. Yeah. And they're like, nope, we're leaving. And they're like, driving for 15 minutes when they realize we don't have the stuffed bunny. And they're like, all right, kid, you have to get over it. She starts throwing a fit, kicking his chair. I'm like, at this point, I'm pulling over, not to turn around. I'm pulling over to beat the kid for kicking and screaming like that over a stuffed animal when we are running away from psychopaths.
Oh, yeah, and you were getting us killed. Because
she come on.
She almost got Jessica Jones.
Then again, this Tesla of theirs is bulletproof.
Yeah, this Tesla's incredible.
Maybe it is semi-truck proof too.
No. You know what? If we look back at the movie, I bet he didn't even turn the wheel. The Tesla noticed the truck and turned the wheel. Jesus took the wheel.
Speaking of the Andrew Tate thing, though, I'm surprised Elon Musk was okay with them using Tesla in a movie.
It was bulletproof. It was used by the good guys, and it was the getaway vehicle. It feels like an Apple spot in a movie. No, just the good guys. All right.
Yeah.
And it can do anything.
And the bad guy's motive clearly this whole time is just like, well, he's an Andrew Tate type, and he's like, I'm taking advantage of these moron weaklings or whatever. But like in the final act, it really ramped up that shit, and he even has a mini monologue about it where he's like, "You and your stupid vegetarianism, and you don't have gasoline in your cars," and I was like, it was so silly. And then all of the both guys are so lame in the end, and it's like the one guy has a panic attack and has to be like smacked down of it by his wife.
The father is the weakest man,
such a pussy
ever. The whole time they're setting up some normal plot between them of like their relationship going stale.
Legitimately interesting, actually.
Yeah, their relationship going stale, and they're
some sort of infidelity
bickering
thing,
at each other.
Vague infidelity.
Yeah, and then she's like sexting somebody at work or whatever they said. So she had a dick pic on her phone, and he noticed it.
But she never actually had sex with him, so he's trying to forgive her for it. But now they're not having sex anymore. Really.
No, and she called James McAvoy and his wife in the movie were talking about how they have sex every day, and then gave a little blowjob demonstration. But
except for not really, just pretended to.
But they kept it on that extra long, extra awkward
uncomfortable.
Time. Yeah. But so
once again, adding to James McAvoy was brilliant in this movie because I loved his. No,
he was phenomenal. Yeah. But so the whole time they're going back and forth. Oh, she emasculates him by saying, she
gives it to him once a month.
He's lucky if he gets it once a month. Yeah.
And that's where, when they had the fight at first, he was like, "Well, what the fuck are you doing?" And I was like, "Why are we acting like this?" And then he brings up that line. I'm like, "Oh, okay, this fight actually makes sense."
Yeah.
And then they bring up the cheating. I'm like, "Oh, this fight actually makes sense."
It really had some depth to it.
Yeah.
And then in the very end, he just the last ballsy thing he did was when the kid got thrown into the river.
He jumped in.
He jumped in after the kid and told her to take off and get going. She fucked up by not immediately taking off. Yeah. They might have been able to get away, but probably not.
Probably not.
And then after that, he fell apart.
Yeah. Like comically wimpy.
Yeah, I feel like I'm missing a little bit in between, but like he completely crumbles. Like they get caught. How they get away again from the very first time to get into the house? Because they have the shotgun to her. And she pulls out the
X-Acto knife.
Yeah, she pulls out. Oh, right. She pulled out
like the box cutter.
The box cutter, and she slashes James McAvoy's face, and then she knocks
and grabs the gun.
Yeah, because they have a long barrel shotgun, so she's able to just knock the barrel away to avoid the shot.
A lot of stuff randomly, by the way, from a filmmaking perspective, was sped up in post from this point on too, which was just comical because it looks like a Three Stooges episode when they do that. I don't know why they did that, but okay. Yeah, like just walking up the stairs, dodging a bullet.
Yeah.
Weird random stuff, but anyway, continue.
So like they get away from them for a moment. They lock him in the shed. They get into the house, and they barricade the house. And they're doing this together at this point. They're still fine.
Yeah.
And then they're trying to come up with a plan. He comes up with some plan to like escape from the roof, and they start to realize they're getting surrounded, and he just starts to fall apart.
Yeah. She's like, well, we could go out this window and then we'll be in the woods in like 5 seconds. And then he's like, but they hunt at night. And she's like, okay, they're gonna get us if we stay in here. And he's like, I don't know. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I should have listened to you. I'm sorry. And she's like, get your shit together.
Yeah, I wish to God she would have slapped him, because that was the move right there.
Yeah.
That theater would have jumped up as he just right the backhand right across. Get your shit together.
Comical. And like I understood because they did it with James McAvoy's character too, because he gets acid sprayed in his face and he goes full whip mode too.
He at least has acid in his face.
That for one, and two, it is part of the commentary of the whole Andrew Tate side where you act tough but you're not actually. Yeah. That makes sense. Like, the main character guy doing it felt so random.
Main character guy is just in a situation where his wife and his children are in danger, and even if he doesn't give a fuck about his wife anymore, fine. He gives a fuck about that.
I don't think he didn't either.
No, I still think he cares about her a lot.
They were.
But at the very least, his daughter's right there.
Yeah.
He's got to sack up for his daughter.
Yeah.
And he just crumbles. And James McAvoy, I get the whole commentary behind it. I never questioned his actions for a second. He got sprayed in the face with 91% sulfuric acid. Yeah. All right, I would be a bitch with 91. We would all be bitches with 91% sulfuric right in the face. Perfect shot. Yeah. We would all be down. It was so out of nowhere for him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was just comical.
And then she proceeded to take down everybody.
She sprayed the acid in the guy's face.
She took out James McAvoy with the acid.
She stabs the guy in the back of the head with the back end of a hammer.
Yeah, because
she throws the girl off the roof.
Yeah, because what was it? So they have another. It's James McAvoy, his wife, and a third guy that they have as to help them out and help with the con.
Yeah.
And so he comes to help hunt them. At one point, he's fighting the father because the father kind of sacks up a little bit.
Tries to, but fails miserably.
It was obvious he was going to fail. He at that point he had nothing. He just had a hammer. Yeah. He's hiding in like the wall. He busts out, tries to attack the guy. Immediately gets it reversed, thrown to the ground, and he's about to have his eye ran through some exposed glass, Daredevil style. And then his wife comes up, brings up the hammer, and smashes the guy in the back of the head.
She has enough time to walk and go, whoa, and then do it though. Once again, going back to the amazing comedic reactions to everything. She's like, oh! It's like cartoon character level acting for this whole last section.
It was hilarious because the movie is really two parts.
It's toned down and serious for the first half.
Yeah, it's really from the point where James McAvoy notices that they've probably been in the basements or in the cellar or whatever that is.
Yeah.
That's basically the point where his character starts to break down and everything starts to break down.
Yeah.
And before that, he's just phenomenal. And he's not bad after that.
He's phenomenal in a completely different way.
Yeah. The movie as a whole just completely just shifts tone.
Yeah. And it's amazing for it. Because it's like, when they're trying to leave and it's like... At first, he's like coming up with clever ways to keep them from leaving, essentially. And then it just devolves into, oh, you've got a flat tire. Oh, your stuffed animal is on the roof?
That was hilarious.
And it's just like, it's so...
Because the flat tire was so obvious.
Yeah.
And then they fix it, and like, the whole time, you don't see... Nobody has seen the bunny since they had to come back for it, basically. Yeah. So, like, the whole time, anyone who's paying attention is sitting there like, okay... When is this rabbit gonna come back up? That they just don't have, because she's not saying it. She don't give a fuck about the rabbit right now, but it's coming back up in some way.
One of my favorite small, like, blink and you miss it moments too with James McAvoy's performance is, so one of the things they do to try to have an excuse to leave, because like the wife warns them, like, you can't just leave. You have to like have a reason to leave, or he's gonna take it really personally. Yeah. So the girl pretends to get her first period because she's about to be 12. So it's around that
was very smart of her.
And so they mention that, and it cuts to the other family's reaction, and James McAvoy goes like, ugh. They mentioned like having her first period.
See,
like,
and
that was such a great little thing.
And that really reminds me of the Andrew Tate. Periods.
It's funny how like there was subtlety in the first half. Like I mentioned that fight between the main character couple.
Right.
There's a moment where you see James McAvoy, I think it was him, maybe it was the girl, watching them through the door. But they don't point it out, they don't focus on it, you just see him there, and then he's gone. And I'm like, subtlety, amazing, awesome. And then the second half, not even the second half, really just the last act of the movie is like, fuck subtlety. We're having fun. We're here to smash people's heads with bricks. That's what we're doing.
And I feel like that's been the theme of movies that we've been reacting to for, at least definitely this year, probably a long time, where first two acts, really engrossing, really interesting, really building, and then a third act that goes really wild and is generally really bad. Except in this time, it went really wild, but it was still very solid. Very satisfying in the end, too.
Would you genuinely say it was really solid, or would you just say it was bad in an entertaining way? Because that's where I'm at. Do you genuinely think it's good?
Okay, it's solidly entertaining.
Okay, all right, just making sure we're on the same page. You can disagree if you want, but I was not ready to say it was genuinely a good ending.
I wouldn't call it good, but I had fun.
Yes, that is the best way to put it.
I will say, most of the other ones, I didn't really have fun. I didn't really like their explanations.
Horror has been very iffy this year.
I still have not seen anything that I would consider really horror. Everything's been
more
thriller.
Psychological, yeah.
Everything has tried to be horror. Everything's been thriller. And this coming from me, the guy who I don't really get scared anymore, but like I don't like them. So if something was really horror, I feel like I'd feel it.
I think Late Night
I feel like
with the Devil was
That's
horror.
probably been the closest.
Not that it was a very scary horror, but I don't know that you could call it thriller. It was horror.
No, and I feel like that was the closest, and at least had the spiritual element flat out front.
Longlegs definitely was horror half the time. Because just like, the creepy stuff with the house and the knocking and the whispering, that's horror shit, even when it wasn't spiritual. It just wasn't good horror.
Except for that first scene.
Yeah, the around the house shit was, well, in the first scene, the literal first scene, it was like 2 good moments. But there have been so many great Nicolas Cage memes because of that movie. Oh boy, I've been dying to show you some. But anyway, I had a good time. It was fun. It was stupid, but it was fun.
It kept being entertaining through the third act, even though it devolved into what it devolved into.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like a lot of other ones have.
It's weird because, like I said, other than the weird pacing of the middle where it felt like scenes were literally taken and edited out of order, it really just was like bare bones minimum. Like there's no intro to the movie, it just starts, and there's no ending, it just ends. And I was like, good. I didn't want fluff. I didn't want anything extra. So it was like, it just gave you what you came for the most part. It knew its audience, and it did what it was meant to do. I will repeat yet again, though, it does make me genuinely intrigued about a more serious take, a maybe more artistic take on this story. And so I'll definitely have to check out the original version because I'm sure it's better. I'm sure it has to be. I assume has residual commentary left over from the original version, but doesn't care to really divulge.
Yeah.
And it's just more for the creepiness of it, which is ultimately really only a very small portion of the movie. Most of it is just waiting around for stuff to happen. Like, if James McAvoy wasn't in this movie, we would not be having the same feeling about this movie.
No.
Because that first hour plus
he was everything.
Would have been without him incredibly boring.
Yeah, no.
Just waiting for anything to happen.
Everyone
but because
else
it's James McAvoy, you're just enthralled by everything he does.
Every little reaction, every little subtle movement, where he'd have the big smile and then start to change his face a little bit. And, oh my gosh, he was great.
Yeah.
He really was the whole movie for the first 2 acts. Yeah. And everyone else was okay. They did their part. But yeah,
they were better than I expected.
I don't know who else. It would have been really interesting seeing someone else. Like, could they have done anything?
Very few actors could have. I mean, yeah, you named the best actors out there. Like Christian Bale could have done, but it's like very few actors could have made this movie as entertaining as he did. Yeah. Very few. Well, I'm okay. You throw Nicolas Cage, he would have made it very entertaining too, but it would have been entertaining in a different way.
In that third act, he would have had some screen in there.
I would have been very interested in a Jared Leto version. That would have been something. But anyway, I think that's it. Yeah. It's fun to watch on a Tuesday night with some strangers. That's how I'm going to put it. But what do you guys think? If you've seen it, let me know in the comments below. And of course, don't forget to like, share, if you're new here, subscribe. Thanks, guys.